Hello, hello, hello. Hi guys, what day is it today? Happy Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello, everyone. Oh yes, gotta turn off my sound on my computer, which I forget to do often. Hello, Diane and Leticia and Sue and Jackie. Hello, hi Peg. Ready, set, go, yes. Hi, Cindy and Pam. My husband saw your name today and he's like, oh, Cindy's back with us. And I said, yes. So, hi, Kay. Good to see you on. Hi, Lori. Oh my goodness, I'm excited to share the lesson with you guys tonight. So, hi, Marlene. I just saw when I was logging on that you messaged me. I will go and look at it later. Hi, Judy from hot San Miguel, California. It is 76 here right now and sunny and beautiful, not a cloud in the sky. We woke up this morning with like 50-something degree weather. It was absolutely gorgeous. My husband got home from the gym and said, have you been outside yet? And I said, no. So we opened up the house just to get a little bit of airflow through. Hi, Dolores. Hi, Carol. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you guys on. If this is your first time here, let me know where you're viewing from. We will get started in about 3 minutes because I have lots to share. Hi, Sharon. I just put lotion on my hands so they're a little slick. Probably not great before painting. But hi, Veronica. Hi, Nanette. It's storming in Houston. Oh, I'm so sorry. We have had quite the storms lately. Hi, Pat. Sunny and beautiful sunny and beautiful today. Love that. Hi, Charlene. Alrighty, guys. So don't forget to like, comment, and share. There will be giveaways for this live, and I will announce them on Sunday, on my Sundays in the studio, okay? So between now and Sunday, probably about 2:30, I will collect all the names and put them on a wheel and draw for some amazing giveaways. Hi, Cindy Braden. We've been in the 90s in Texas. Yeah, it's been pretty hot here. Same thing. My husband's like, Cindy Braden's back with us. Yes. So right now, again, we're in the mid 70s, which is kind of surprising. And there are people out doing their yard work, so you might hear a lawnmower. I think it was last night, either before I got on, we were still live, and they were doing crop dusting. So anyway, all right, 1 more minute, we're gonna get started, okay? I think I figured out how to zoom in on Switcher, even though I contacted them, have gotten nothing from them, which I pay for the service, so hello. But I think I figured something out that's gonna help us. Hi, Beryl, how are you? So that I don't have to keep lifting it up. I can just zoom in. Anyway, he is so sweet. He's just the sweetest. So he does all my post office runs, but let me go ahead and say real quick before we start, if you've placed an order since Sunday, hi Debbie, continued prayers, my friend, sunny and 80 in Ohio. If you placed an order between Sunday and today, and you've not gotten an invoice, be on the lookout for it, because I do my shipping and my ordering differently, because I don't want you to overpay for shipping. It's only the actual cost of shipping. Hi, Joanne. 80 in Arkansas right now. Um, Hello, Janet Roche. So I did send about 12 packages out today, between cutting stencils and wood and packaging and then packaging the orders. I'm a little behind when I normally like to get them out the same day. So just be patient with me. They will, if you've placed an order between, like I said, Sunday and today, your order, everything will go out tomorrow. I have those 12 invoices sitting on my computer ready to send the shipping invoice. Now, typically what I do, guys, is if you've ordered from me before and you know my policy, I will say there are oftentimes I just go ahead and ship your order. I've run into a couple issues with that. I don't want to have to hold all the shipping until people pay. Again, those that are really good about paying on time or paying their shipping invoice, that order has probably already gone out before I sent you the invoice. Okay, hope that makes sense. Hi, Beverly in sunny Michigan. Hi, Shirley. Let me see. All righty. It is 7:07. We're 2 minutes late. Okay, real quick, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to let you guys know about the opportunity, all right? And that is my membership group. My membership group started in 2020 out of the need for me to connect with people because COVID happened. I'm a talker, if you've not been able to tell, but I'm also an introvert, extrovert. When I'm in teaching mode, I am full on extrovert and want to share everything. I will say though that in my membership group, I share a lot more of me, a lot more of my life, a lot more with them and their lives and things going on, but then also just lessons. So tonight at midnight is the deadline to sign up for my membership group. So I'm just going to put a couple things up for you. If you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about it, you can join monthly. Monthly is $34. If you decide today, let me just join and look through the 300 plus lessons that are archived, and paint live with me 3 to 4 times a month. And this month we have our free quarterly Zoom class, which is going to be amazing. If you've been on the fence, again, try it for a month, and if you want to switch over for a year, which is going to save you tons of money, would love for you to do that. This one just has a little bit more information. I have monthly giveaways, 3 Happy Mail giveaways that I send to my members. I do have guest artist lessons. I will say I've not had a guest artist lesson in a while. Because we've been doing prompts this year and last, and that just kind of took on a different vibe. I could always give that guest artist one of the prompts. I just haven't. So, but there are lessons in there from Tracy Morrow, Deb Antonick, Kathy Hansen, Kat Kerr, Erica Joanne, Holly Hanley. I don't want to miss anybody. Marco Aguilar. Oh my gosh, I know there's someone I'm going to miss, and I apologize if I do. So you can sign up on my website. So right there at the bottom, you'll see Sandy McTier Designs, and then you will see this little logo, which is that Adventures of Art membership group. We do primarily create in an art journal. That doesn't mean that you have to create everything in an art journal. In fact, I have several people that don't. They'll do it on a wood piece or even a different piece and change the layout of the design, which is fantastic. But I also have some that will take it out of their journal and then take off that perforated edge. And I believe Karen Sink does this, and she sticks it in like an upright stand and displays the art that way. The thing with my going with the art journal was it was easy because the pandemic. Everyone didn't have to go out and get 1,500 different surfaces. Surfaces sometimes are expensive, right? And so if I'm doing 3 to 4 lessons a month and you have to buy 3 to 4 surfaces a month, that's kind of crazy. Whereas in the art journal, which do I have here? No, because I put them all away. But there are 60 pages in that, which means you have 120 pages to create on, okay? I'm gonna share some pictures with you tonight that kind of coordinate with our lesson tonight. And I will have it as a PDF on my website under free. If you go to more and then go to the free printables, lessons, whatever, you'll see it. So this one I loaded this morning. It has the picture of what we did last night, the colors used, and the line drawing. All right, and I'll do the same thing for the one tonight, okay? So I loved this lesson. I did note in the PDF that I removed some of the lines. Like there was that double line there on the edge. I got rid of that. So, and less stuff to keep. Well, and a lot of people really don't have wall space anymore, or you have 1,000. I joined right away. Teresa Adams, I think you were the first to join. I'm almost positive. And then I think Charlie and Pam were second and third when I opened this in 2020. So Veronica said, I love this group. I've learned a lot and have enjoyed all the projects, but the members are amazing and so helpful. Again, I didn't want to build an audience of people. I wanted to build a community, and we have a fantastic creative community. So, like I said, tomorrow morning I will get this listed on, not this. This is already listed. Tonight's lesson I will list in the morning. All right, let's move on. So, all right. I downloaded already and love it. Oh, I love that, Sandy. A little late tonight. Glad I didn't miss much. You haven't missed much. We're just chit-chatting. Love the journal idea. I saw somewhere that Nanette said, I love my art journal. I like the art journal. Yes, it's, again, the thing is when I have an idea in my mind and I'm like, I wonder if this would work, I go to my art journal because I can take it from there to a different surface, and it works for me. I know when I taught my very first art journal class at Creative Painting in Vegas, I think it was 2018 maybe, or 2017, 2018, one of those years. Might have even been 2016, I don't know. Anyway, my class was sold out. I think there were like 40 people in that class, and when I saw people the next day, they're like, oh my gosh, my roommate came and was absolutely amazed with what we did on paper. And I said, okay, and I know there's sometimes that mental block because you're painting on paper. The thing is, watercolor is on paper, mixed media is sometimes on paper, right? Get past the substrate, if you will, which I usually don't use that word. Get past the surface of what it is you're painting on. And it's not about the surface. It's not about the project. It is about the design and the techniques and the learning that you'll do with each lesson. Okay, so that's the way I like to look at it. That's the way I teach. I want people to get as many tips and tricks and techniques from me as possible when I teach. And again, it doesn't matter what surface you're on. So just putting that out there. Thank you, Pat. I love this group. I've learned so much since I joined. Thank you, Donna. Carol, I do sell the journals on my website. And if you're in my membership group, the first page of your journal, I've painted. So that's always an incentive to order a journal, right? Plus, the other thing is my members have a different discount code. They actually get more off their orders, which I think right now is helpful because shipping is so insane. So they have a different code to use. We're not going to put that here. But if you're a member, you can use that. So, alrighty. Hello, Marianne. Always love having been one of your original members. Yes, Judy Thacker, one of my OGs, my originals from 2020. October of this year will be 6 years. And the other great thing about that is, like this says, I'm just going to pop that up again, you have access to all of them. all the Zoom classes, all the freebies, all the guest lessons, all the lessons that I've taught in the group since 2020. I have PDFs under the files section that gives you, you download it and you can click the link and it'll take you to the lesson in the group. It's a private Facebook group where we meet. And yeah, so I totally think it's worth it. I've not raised my prices since 2020. I have no plan to do so because I want painting and creating to be affordable for all. And I do think $295 a year for that many lessons and more content to come, or $34 a month if you need to do the monthly. I do also know that someone signed up for my group a couple years ago and was able to do the payment plan because my subscription goes through PayPal. And they were able to do it in like 3 or 4 different increments. I don't know anything about that. Don't ask me because I don't know. But I use paper I get from Costco. I back under the paper towels and toilet paper. It's heavy paper. Oh, I love that. Sue, yes, you've shared those in the group too, and I love that. Hi, Connie, also good. Okay, guys, let's get started. So I have 3 giveaways. I have different brush holders that will have some of my favorite Dynasty brushes in them. I wish I could fill them up for you, but I can't. But they will come with some really good brushes. Plus it has this little iron-on, which is one of my stickers. So 3 people are going to get that. It might have a different sticker. It's not a sticker, it's an iron-on. But you might have a different one. So I just want you to know that. Like it might be, you know, that one, or it might be Blessed. So anyway, and this, which I love, is a floating sponge, so you can get the sponge wet. I know I've shared this on my lives before. Wring it out, stick it in there, and while you're floating, you could come here and pick up a little bit more moisture on your brush instead of dipping it into your water basin, okay? So, a brush caddy with brushes in it. My favorite Dynasty brushes, or some brushes that I have extras of that I think you'd love. And let's start with Happy Mail number 1, my sweet friend Charlie. She goes by MC Murph Dog, but Charlie McGee. I love, Sandy is such a great teacher and so sharing. All the members are so helpful. I'm one of those that like painting in a journal as I need to downsize some of my wood surfaces, right? I'm interested in the phone stained glass nutcracker in the older files. Okay, Sue, if you'll go to the membership group and just put that in, myself or Chris Avola, who's a fantastic moderator in our group and does so much for me, or one of the other members will link you to that, okay? So that you don't miss it. Hello, hello. All right, so we've got, like I said, the 3. So first one was Charlie McGee. And the second one, Happy Mail, was Cindy. So when I saw your name pop up, I thought she's gonna think that was rigged. It wasn't. Your name popped up. So I love all the stickers, but I love the Be Blessed one. I know I love it too. Okay, and then the Happy Mail 3 is Kathleen Wall. All right, so I have these set aside. Again, it's not necessarily these colors of the brush caddy. I love that it has a holder too. Yes. Now I will say, when I took these to my latest seminars, my husband put the price tag like right there, and I said, babe, they need to be able to read it. And he was like, oh, I didn't think about that. So we're gonna put that. I cannot complain. I am beyond blessed. And I'm gonna put all the names there so I don't forget. Okay, let's come down to the tabletop. Hi, Dolores. Hi, who else was there that I missed maybe? Hi, Debbie. Alrighty, guys, like I said, I will, oh, you're so welcome, Charlie. I will be live on both platforms, my Sandy McTier Designs page and on YouTube on Sunday at 4 p.m. And we're going to paint one of the random act of kindness pins or luggage tags that are bag tags that I've come out with recently. So I was kind of thinking either the seahorse or the sea turtle. Haven't decided yet, but we will have more giveaways then. Okay, let's go ahead and come right down here because I want to share with you what we're going to do tonight, and then I'll show you some examples of some that I have done with my group over the years. So this design I did a few years ago, and I want to say it was one of those free sign up whatevers, and then I got the email for like 6,000 plus people, and I never really did anything with that because I don't need to spam your email. But the this design, I was thinking about it. I wanted to do a girl, one of my girls. So remember last night I said I kind of want to do one of my girls, and I've always loved her, but I thought, okay, let's reimagine her. What was Cindy's last name? Nezazon, if I say that correctly. Nezazon. Cindy, you'll have to let me know if I said that right. Alrighty, so I'm trying to finish my water. Hi, Pam. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, again, either the seahorse or the sea turtle. So, like I said, I wanted to reimagine her. And so I'll share you the design I did this morning to reimagine her. But let me just show you some of the lessons that I have done with my membership group over the years. So let's just zoom in. That was the one thing I was looking for, and I finally found where I could change it. Just popping in for a minute, sir. Oh, no apology necessary. Loretta, you have a wonderful evening. Glad you're here. Okay, wonderful. I did say her last name right. Is it possible to order from... What is MTL? Do the girl. I am doing the girl. So Julie, where are you? Let me know. It says MTL, but I'm not exactly sure where that is. I do ship outside of the US. I will ship anywhere. However, you will get an invoice for it first, just like I do for all my US shipping. And I can also let you know what it's going to be before you put the order in. Or, you know, if you send the order and go, yeah, how much is this shipping going to be? I can let you know. Okay, I just need to know what your order is and your postcode or postal code. Or zip code if you're in the US. Okay, so we just did this one recently. So it was kind of a Frida inspired. The background paper I did, it's collage paper that I shared with my membership group. That was the first kind of floral collage that I did. It's not in the new packet. And then we did this one a few years ago, and I've always loved her, and I've never forgotten that Bonnie Clock was like, can you do that in acrylics? Because the majority I used the media line. And I still have all the step-by-step pictures. Okay, this one, our prompt was bubbles. But I didn't want to just do bubbles up the page, so I did a girl and strategically just did it where it focused on her blowing the bubbles. This is one of my favorites. So this one was an angel that I did maybe 3 years ago in the group. Again, all these lessons are recorded, PDFs for the line drawing. I will say in the earlier years, I do not have PDFs with colors because I did not start that until I want to say maybe 3 years ago. Okay, but just love her, and there's a lot of texture with palette knife, and then we did a fairy, so our little garden fairy that we did. And then I had done her on the cover of one of my art journals, and so we did her. And then there was a year that we did the Old World Masters lessons. I think I shared that with you guys last night. And this one was inspired by Gustav Klimt, which is one of my favorite Old World Masters. Okay, why did the comments just stop? Okay, Could that be Montreal, Canada? Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I shipped to Canada. Just hope there aren't any tariffs or anything you have to pay. Okay, so I mean, there's gold metallic on there. I just love. Okay, then we did Liechtenstein, which is kind of that pop art. One of my favorites, and I will say, I just remember Kathy McAllister did this and put it on her. Oh, Montreal. Okay, wonderful. It's a city that I really want to go to. My brother-in-law did Montreal and Quebec and somewhere else. I've only been to Ottawa. Okay, so anyway, Kathy McAllister did this, and then she put it up on her mantle and took a picture. It was just absolutely gorgeous. So love, love, love. So we do a lot of different styles, techniques. And then this one I did Georgia O'Keeffe. And I didn't want to just do a big flower. I wanted to do one of my girls with a flower on her shirt. And then I painted that same flower on a t-shirt and wore it to the National Art Materials Trade Association when it was in Ohio. So maybe 3 years ago. And just loved, loved, loved. I don't know where the white speck of something came, but it's there. And then another one we did was Girl with a Pearl Earring, which is very famous. I reimagined her and gave her 2 pearl earrings because, hello, you need a pair, right? And then Big Eyes, Keen. If you ever saw that movie, it was sad and intriguing and amazing. But Margaret Keane with the big eye dolls and stuff in the 70s, 60s, 70s, we did her. Deb Antonick taught a version of this. This is my take on the lesson that she shared with us. And I wrote, I am enough, I am strong, I am grateful. That again is one thing I love about creating in the art journal is my husband's like, you don't need a word. Sometimes I like a word. Sometimes I like a quote. I want a little sentiment. So because when we think of journal, we think of writing, right? Not necessarily all the time. This is an expression of me and art, as are all these, and all that you guys do. So one of the first Zoom classes we had in the group, I did, so we tore them out of a magazine. Tore them out of a magazine, and then tore different flowers out of my Birds in Bloom, and did a mixed media background and just embellished them, and 2 of my favorites. So those are kind of our girls. Now, what I wanted to do tonight was reimagine her. Thank you so much, Chris. And so I came up with her. So we took away the crown. And let me just see if I want this to be straight. So I'm going to change my camera and just hope it's the right direction. There we go. Okay. And I gave her a flower dress. And if you didn't notice, she maybe gained 5 pounds because it's been years since I did her. And I thought, I don't want to do the same exact everything. So, you know, I'm one of those yo-yoers. I'm up and down, up and down. So that's what I did with her, and we're going to create her tonight. Okay. Now let me just move some things because I've got quite the shadow over here. If you missed last night's lesson where we did the peach, I shared with you how I transfer my pattern using my light box. I've got a hair that is tickling my arm. So you can go back and watch that to see how I did this. All right. I took one of my journal pages out of my Grumbacher In and Out journal and then drew that on my light box with the pattern underneath with my ultra fine tip Sharpie. Oh yes, Pam, you'll love those Old World Master lessons. They were fantastic. Okay, so, and then once I was done, I gessoed over it because that will do 2 things. It will give my page some tooth. Your page starts to feel a little bit thicker, and it will allow the paint to glide on top instead of just grabbing right to the page, okay? So someone asked and I forgot to answer it. What I use to varnish just about everything that I do is the DuraClear Soft Touch Varnish. They used to have it in the media line. They no longer do, but the DuraClear Soft Touch Varnish is my absolute favorite. When you have gessoed both sides and you varnished your page, it feels like leather. For y'all in the comments that have felt my journal pages, let them know, right? It feels like leather. And I also like this for my wood projects, my paper mache project, you name it. This is my go-to favorite varnish. If you use gloss in your art journal and you close the pages and you live, I don't know, that was from a stencil, you live in a state like I do, Georgia, or where Linda Grass lives in Arizona, hello, your pages are going to stick together, all right? Because it is glossy, it is hot, and it will stick together. So that soft touch varnish, I've never had an issue with it sticking. Okay, so I did pull some collage papers. I carry the entomology from Tim Holtz, and so I just grabbed some of my stash and thought maybe about using some of that in the background, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure. So we will see. I'm going to move that to the side. And I do think I'm going to use a little bit of this cancellation stamp, because you can never go wrong with cancellation stamp, right? And remember, we don't want any kind of a straight line unless it is up against an edge, okay? So I'm just going to remove that and that, and let's see if we can get that on there. I think I'm just going to tear it like that. Okay, so I know I want something there. And then I don't want a bug. I want some script. So let's go ahead and just do a little bit of script here. Sorry, I know I'm close to the microphone. You're probably getting a earful. Okay, now if I wanted that there, I don't want to go over those little tabs. Okay, you can, but then you have to come back in and cut in between them. Okay, so I'm just going to tear that one there. And then I think I might have, and I don't care if it goes over her shirt. It's just going to add layers. That's what mixed media is about, remember? And I don't care if it's sideways. The print can be sideways. It doesn't have to be exactly straight. I think I'm going to do that. And I think, real quick, let me just grab this. Now, this was the typeset collage paper that is no longer available in the roll. I don't know if they've done something different with it. It's Tim Holtz, Stampers Anonymous. It is one of my favorites, and I used it a lot. But I do think it might be either now just in single sheets, but I've not been able to find it. I've not been able to order it for my website. So, okay, so I think we're going to do that. Now, what we want to do is add some matte medium, which do I? Yes, I do. Alrighty. Hi, Lucy Mott. Love the drawing and the little butterfly. I love the little butterfly too. And we're going to add some butterflies in the background, probably with some stamps. And I do have a little quote that I printed. And if we've got space, I'll use that too. Alrighty. So I'm trying to get my water in today. I'm way behind. All right, so I'm going to get a 3/4 flat. Let me find one of those. So I have my black gold flat wash. We'll get that wet, tap it off. And I'm going to pick up some matte medium. And let's just come right down here. It just adds interest to your background, okay? I showed you a couple different ways this week on adding collage paper. It's right over the edge, right? We're just going to cut it. I can cut it when it's wet, maybe. Last night we did the matte medium over a stencil. Not last night, the night before. All right. I know it's the ADD in me, but when I hear that, I want to go 24 robbers came knocking at my door. Alrighty, so we're going to put this on, and it might just slightly, ooh, I don't want it crooked though. I don't care if it's sideways, but I don't want it crooked. So we're going to lay that back down. But stamps, stencils, go to thrift stores, Goodwill, whatever, look for dictionaries. And I love finding like foreign books. I have several in Spanish, German, and French. I even have one in Russian, but I'm not using that one. All right, so let's get that off, whatever was stuck to my finger. That's gross. And we will put that on. Again, just a little interest in the background, here and there, not everywhere. Just go for it. Okay, get a little wrinkle, not a problem. Just added texture. Again, must have picked that up from my mat. Okay, we are going to put that lid back on. I shared a tip with you guys the other day. Not a bad idea to constantly wipe the lid of that jar so that your matte medium does not, the lid doesn't stick. This is my go-to. I love this. It's never failed me. Okay, and then we're gonna dry it. And while we're drying it, I will show you the quote that I did. This one. And so I'm just gonna upload this. It has the 4 different, I might even change the size in case you wanna use it on something different. But that will be uploaded along with the finished picture of this, since I've not painted it yet, and the line drawing for her, okay? Anything else that I use in the background, use what you have. Use what you have and just create and play. That's one thing you've got to remember to do. Give yourself permission to play. When you play, you learn things that you might have thought about, or maybe you've thought about and you go, I wonder if this will work or if this will happen. I am one of those curious people. And so instead of wondering for years, I just try it. I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I can do this. It's like mixing the marker maker with my paint and using a little bit more than with the markers, and I made little spritzers, which I might use tonight, to make a little spritzer, because it's paint, it's going to dry and be permanent. I have several. I even thought about pulling them tonight and using them. The only thing is they are not permanent, so the more I add to it, or if I put a layer of gesso over it to tone it down, it's going to smear. Okay. All right. So we will move that. And you notice how dark, that's how dark the line drawing was. Now we want to put a little bit of gesso over it. Hello, Denise. So I'll take that same 3/4 flat, get a little bit wet, and some gesso. We want to make this nice and inky, not so watery that it's dripping down my palette. I'm just going to swipe it. I need to move my water because I'm about to knock it over. All right. So we will go over that. And I know I have this quote. I didn't even look to see where I would put it. Most likely I would put it there. And that's okay, because it's going to cover that. Didn't even think about that. And that's all right. Again, that gesso and that matte medium, if you missed Monday nights where I did a leaf on the hydrangea and did not like where it was placed, and removed it with hand sanitizer, there are options, there are ways. and that's one of my favorite things to do. Hi, Elka, is to share all my tips and tricks with my membership group, and I'm still learning. If you ever get to the point where you feel like you know it all in painting or creating, mixed media, decorative painting, color pencils, whatever it is, it's probably time to put that material up and do something different, because I am always learning, always searching for new ways to use product, new ways to do things. And all right, so we've got, I'm just gonna take that baby white and just wipe my palette off. I'm using I carry this as well, the Gray Matters palette paper, my absolute favorite. If you buy it, don't throw that away, laminate it, or put it in a page protector. And I mean, it's got fantastic information. The other thing is it's got the value scale right here. So what I did with my first one I bought was I took a hole punch and I just punched it right on the side, so that when you lay that down with your, to check your value and stuff, it's easy to do. Okay. It's a great guideline. Alrighty, so we are going to mist our page, and I kind of have an idea already in my mind of how I want to paint her skirt color-wise. After I drew her out, I was thinking orange and pink and teal, because I want to make her fun. So we're just going to spritz a little bit of water, and we are going to dry it off, because guess what? I want to add some stamps in the back. Hello. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to add a few. So she's got one butterfly there. I want to add a couple other butterflies. And I just grabbed, oh, did I grab let me see if I have. I don't. Maybe I could use this. I usually have a block here, and for whatever reason, I don't. Okay, so these are like some old Stampendous butterfly stamps. I thought I grabbed two. I guess I just grabbed, oh, there it is right there. Hello. Okay, so let's get this one. Stays on ink does not bleed when you go over it. It's white gesso. I love clear gesso, and it is one thing I wish they would bring back in the media line. Now, when you ink a stamp, if it's new, it's always going to work better after you ink it a second or third time, because ink will stick better to the ink than it will to the rubber. Okay, so I'm going to load that. That image was nice. And if it's not, when I put it on, I don't care, because it's just in the background. It's just going to be the image, and I want to tone it down with some gesso. So that's why I'm doing it now. Alrighty, and I don't know if I'm going to use this big one. I think the big one's going to be too big. So we will just place these, lift that, there we go. Okay, and the other place you could put it, I've used it on the lid. The only thing is it's not see-through, so I can't see where I'm putting it. And I do like to use it either on a block or something clear so that I can see it. So I either rub that with the Stays On or pat it, and then let's just put a third one, maybe. Again, this is just background. So maybe I put it, so we've got those three, maybe I'll put it over here. All right, there we go. Okay, one thing I do like to do after I've used the Stays On ink though is just go ahead and hit it with your heat tool so that you know it's dry before you paint over it. A CD, yes, a CD case works fantastic. Great tip, Sue. Thank you. All right, so we'll get out a little bit more gesso. I'm just gonna pick that up. And we'll go right over that. Again, just to tone it down, we want it in the background, and things that are that lighter, you know, pushed back with that gesso aren't going to be as prominent, but it's going to accent and just add a beautiful little design to your background. Okay, so again, that was the white gesso. We will dry that again. Okay, in fact, this one's still a little bit on the darker side, so I'm just going to tone that down. All right, and then I'll just clean that off. And I'm now going to mist it with water. Okay, so I'm just going to spritz it with some water. And I'm going to take that, so this is Hansa Yellow Light in the media line with some of the Marker Maker mixed in. And I'm just going to spritz this in a couple places. I don't care where it goes. I can get rid of what I don't want. But let's go ahead and lift this. And I'm going to spritz it with a little more water. This is, again, one reason I absolutely love this journal is because I put a lot of stuff on it, from gesso to paint, dry brushing, you name it. And so it withstands all of the abuse I give it. It really is an amazing mixed media paper. And my favorite is the 7x10 in and out mixed media journal. I do sell it on my website. And we're just going to take that baby wipe, and I'm just getting to a clean space where I can pick up a little bit of the yellow that I don't want on her dress or her face. Her hair I don't care about because it's going to be brown. Okay. Now another cool thing is you can come in with a paper towel, and if you're like, oh, I want to lift a little bit there, okay, or lift a little bit there, just lift it. Lift it with a paper towel. A baby wipe's going to be more. Let's slightly draw this. Thank you, Pat. I know it's Wednesday, it's church night for a lot of people, but glad you guys are here. The other thing is, if I have it on her shirt or face or wherever, you could always come in with white. I would use warm white just because it's more opaque. In fact, let's get that off her hand just a little bit. Okay, and then I'll use my fingers so it doesn't look like I wiped it off. There we go. I like the drippy drip look. Sometimes I'll do that while I'm heating it. If you want to spread it out, a little bit more moisture. Speaking of butterflies, I did this one on a video that I had done for the product for DecoArt. It's the stained glass paints. We will be doing these in the next month or two on my Sunday lives. It's a fantastic product. So this takes the longest. Even though it's a quick dryer, it's still, because between the paint and me watering it. But I will show you a really cool trick, because I know that my quote's gonna go there, so it really doesn't matter. But you can get it almost dry. Like I can still see the wetness from that water. And then I can come in with a paper towel and press in that area. And what it's gonna do is it will really lift more than just like me touching it while it's wet. And then I just like to give a little bit of a swipe with my hand. It's gonna help flatten out that page. Weight on the other side of the page is what's going to make it lay flatter. And if you don't paint anything on the other side of the page, that's okay. Once it's in an art journal, it's going to stay flat. But I do like to kind of fold it back on itself so that you get that. All right, let me get back up here because I zoomed in. All righty, we are going to get a little bit of, let me think. I want to use, I don't know what this one's from. This is a little mini plaid stencil that I have. I don't know if I want to use that or if I just want to do polka dots. That's my thought. Oh, we could do those. These little hearts. Let's do that. So I'm going to take a different yellow, so sunset gold. Let's shake that up. Aw, thank you, Elka. Appreciate that. So if you're just joining us, this is the reimagined version of my bee girl, the queen bee. And so I wanted her to have a butterfly and have a flowery dress. And she put on a little bit of weight, so as we do. Okay, I'm gonna get a stencil brush and some of that sunset gold. Let me find, right there. So a little bit of sunset gold. So I picked it up on the tip of the brush. I'm gonna swirl it around and work it in. I want a dry paper towel to wipe off a lot of that paint. Okay, so I'm skipping around. You see I'm not starting at the top and going to the bottom. It's just going to give a little bit of sporadic design in the background. So again, just kind of frantically move your hand around quickly so that you get a little bit of that design. I think we'll put a little bit up here. And if you get too much, just wipe it with your finger. Okay, I like that color. And we're gonna take that color and water it down with my 3/4 angle. Sandy, have you tried refilling one of those Tim Holtz spray bottles using the marker maker? I have not, Sue, but definitely you could. Thank you, Janet. So good to be back. Alrighty, so this is my 3/8 angle, faux squirrel, and we are going to get this very inky, okay? And it's on the whole brush. I know it's an angle brush. And I'm just gonna swipe it across the palette there. I wanna get a little bit of a golden background, a little more water, right over her skirt, and we will paint those flowers a complementary color. Doesn't matter if you go outside her skirt. Okay, and then I am gonna take a paper towel, which I should have cut some more, and I'm just gonna lightly touch it so that maybe she's got a little bit wider spot here, darker spot there. And we will also shade. So, alrighty. Now, for her shirt, I want to do a turquoise. So I have peacock teal, and I have cobalt teal hue in the media line, which is highly pigmented. I'm going to use that, and I just noticed one thing that I need to fix. So I'm going to put out a little bit of that yellow right here, and my husband just came in. Okay, so I'm going to put out a little bit of that yellow, pick up just a little bit on a wet brush. Do you see inside her arms here, the background color's missing? Okay, that will be real noticeable at the end. So we definitely want to make sure that we get that in there. And then I'm going to use the cobalt teal hue. The media line, fluid acrylics have a little bit higher price point, a bit higher price point, but it's so worth it because they're highly pigmented. It doesn't have the solids. The majority of the line is transparent, and I absolutely love it. And it is intermixable with all of your regular acrylics, okay? So I'm gonna take a number 8 flat, probably. It's another one of my absolutely favorite size brushes. Yes, Sue, you'll have to let me know how that works, okay? And I'm gonna pick up, I don't have water in my brush because I don't want this to be real thin, but I'm going to give her a teal shirt right over that paper that's there. And I think when I go back and outline her flowers on her skirt in black, that black belt will look really pretty. So I'm gonna leave that unpainted. This might take 2 coats, just again, because it's that fluid acrylics, transparent. You're gonna see all the brush strokes. Unless I come in and smooth them out. Here, and as soon as I do that, I have got to turn on my fan over to the side because it is roasting in my studio. All right, where's my remote? There we go. Oh. All right, let's dry her. I'm not worried about that color on the belt right now. We're just blocking in color. The only butterfly that's going to be painted is the one in her hand. You could always come in and paint the others, but I'm not. That's my plan right now, I should say. Okay, let's get out some. Where is it at? I know I brought it over here. Asphaltum. Since it's a yellow background, I'm not going to do blonde hair. And since I'm a brunette, I'm going to do brunette. So pick up a little bit of water. And get that nice thin little first layer. I'm just wiping off where I have too much water. And we will go with the flow of her hair. And then of course she'll get some highlights and lowlights. Way too much water and paint. So I just rinsed my brush out, wiped it off. Now I'm gonna spread all this goodness out onto her hair. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of Payne's Gray on my palette. And this brush is too big, so I'll just get a little round brush with some asphaltum and a touch of Payne's Gray. In this little section right here. I don't even know what this brush is. I think it's a DecoArt brush. Rinse it out, get a little bit more of that brown. We'll do our little curl here. A little curl there, and then her bun. And just like under her arm, there's not any yellow right here, so let's just pop in a little bit of that background color. Okay, she's got quite the separation there, which I will say probably has something to do with the way I painted the gesso on. All right. No worries, Judy. Have a wonderful time with your granddaughter. Okay. Now, one thing when I'm painting my girls, what I like to do often is if I need to keep the shape of things, like I don't want to lose the shape of her eyes. And since we gessoed over it, it might be a little on the lighter side. So as I'm painting and going along and adding layers, I might come in and add some of those features back so that I don't lose them. Okay. It's just gonna be Scary Mary for a minute, but. All right, let's come in with some warm white. Do I want to use warm white? No, I'm going to use titanium white. So we use some titanium white. And that number, let's just go to a smaller flat, like a number 4 or 2, just to get some of this on these flowers. Just a little wash, a little base coat. It's just a little barrier between that yellow. But it does not need to be opaque because, again, as a wash, you're going to see some of that yellow underneath. Not worried about the leaves. I'm gonna leave those because if I put green over it without any barrier, it's just gonna shine and be really pretty because it's got that yellow underneath it. When I used to paint in oils a lot, I would put raw sienna underneath as my base layer for just about every painting I did because I loved the way it made all the colors on top of it glow. So when it's wet, it's gonna be that. When it's dry, it'll just be a kind of dull, and that's fine. We will make it whiter and brighter and prettier when we add colors. And I think I'm going to make them orange. Nice complementary color to that turquoise or teal. Okay, so we've got all of our flowers. Okay, let's go ahead and get out our, so you can make whatever skin tone you want. If you use like burnt sienna with a little bit of warm white, you could add a touch of asphaltum, just depending on what skin tone you want. I'm gonna start with the Natural Buff, but I will come in with some other colors to warm her up. And so with that number 8 flat, I'm just going to rinse that out, have a little bit of water in my brush, and we'll pick up that Natural Buff, and we'll go over it. And as we start to layer and build, again, that's where you might lose some of those features. So don't hesitate putting them back in with that ultra fine tip Sharpie or the fine tip of an Identipen. Okay, and we don't want to forget her hand. Fingers. Okay, so we'll let that dry. I'm going to come back, hi Janet, with the cobalt teal hue, and let's just give her another little layer. It might be enough to cover here. I'm just going to stroke down so I can kind of keep with the shape of the shirt. Okay, and it's streaky, that's all right. I have an idea. Okay, let's get out some green. So we're gonna get out some foliage green and put a little bit of that on my palette. Small little flat brush, like a 2 or a 4. Tiny touch of water in my brush. Pick some of that up on my palette that you can see there on the right. And we will add in right over that yellow, that foliage green. So I'm just filling those in, kind of just blocking the colors in right now, and then we'll add details. You can slide on that chisel edge to get a little bit of the vine if you want to. I'm not real worried about it because I am going to come back with the black pen. I really want those to pop on her skirt, so outlining them again with that black pen will be really pretty. Oops, let's get that out of there. That's the other thing when using your fingers, you might have another color on that finger, so be careful, especially if it's black or dark. And we are just going to get all these little leaves. That'd be a pretty skirt to wear. Okay, did I get everything? Yeah, I can do a little bit of that. Fine. Even if it's just behind. I'm not gonna do the curly cues. Okay. Now let's come in with some jack-o'-lantern orange. I just thought that orange and the teal would be so pretty together. And we will come in with that 3/8 angle. What color is the green? It's foliage green. Foliage green. Again, I'll have the PDF loaded on my website tomorrow with all the colors that I'm using tonight, along with the line drawing and a finished picture. That's what I provide the majority of the time in my membership group before we have a lesson. So, all right, we're gonna pick up a little bit more water, give her some more brown hair. Remember, I paint in layers, so thin layers, and just build up the color instead of a big heavy layer of paint. And then let's go ahead and get that bun. I almost gave her long hair, but with all the width of her skirt and everything, I thought it would just be fun to, again, reimagine my girl that was the queen bee with her little bun. All right, we will rinse that. Okay, I'm gonna use that 3/8 angle, get a little bit of moisture, tap it across my paper towel, and on the angle we wanna load the toe, which is the longest part of that brush, and just work it in. So I'm gonna do that a couple times that way, a couple times that way, back that way, and then just very lightly skim the surface. Okay, that will just flatten that paint right on the toe. And like we did on last night's, we're just going to paint right at the base of these petals. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit more. We will darken it with a little bit of quinacridone gold. But I'm just doing small little, almost like U strokes. And then coming up on that chisel just to do some vein lines. So I'll slow down. Coming up on that chisel to do some vein lines. Okay, and you can always come in and do those separate with a liner brush, but you kind of knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here doing. Let me tell you, there's some birds, ooh, Sandy. There's some birds in my bird feeder lately that I would love to knock out with 1 stone. These big black birds that love to come get all the sunflower seeds. And there's similar flowers to what I did last night on the peach blossom. As I was drawing them out, I didn't even think about, you know, what kind of flower. My first thought was daisies. And I thought, no, I want to have a little bit more going on. So I started drawing these out, and then when I finished, I'm like, oh, those look like my peach blossoms from last night, but we're gonna make these orange. So they're any kind of blossom you want them to be. So I will be on after this. I will just be on my computer. So if you have any questions about the membership group, again, if you're on the fence and you want more information, just message me. I'm happy to email you back, message you back on Messenger, whichever way. On my website, you can always go to that Contact Us, and I will reply there. I just think these colors are going to be so pretty. And I am going to put something else in the background. I don't want it just to be yellow. All right, one more flower over here. So again, just kind of zigzagging that around, right over those stamens and everything, because guess what? They're in the way, and you do want that orange color underneath them. So we're just gonna do them right over all those stamens, staying with inside the shape of our skirt. Like, all right. They almost look like a camellia. Yeah, kind of, sort of, right? Hi, Linda Johnson. I love camellias. There is a huge festival in Fort Valley, Georgia, the Camellia Festival, that people from all over the world come to. It is insane. Oh, the starlings with their young are off. Oh, yes. Yeah, we have probably a 10-pound easily dove that likes to come. And I don't have a big bird feeder. It's a suction one right on my window in front of where I sit and paint. And it's comical. You can hear when they land. So heavy. All right, I'm just doing another little layer of the natural buff on her skin. We will do her makeup and everything later, a little bit on her hand. Alrighty, now on the flowers, I am gonna come in with that white on the toe of that angle brush. Picked up too much paint, Just pick up a little bit more. And if you ever want to walk out a float, and if you've heard that term and you're not sure what it is, when you load the toe of that brush, but you don't want it that strong, you just simply walk it out, walk it out, walk it out. And you see how the color starts to dissipate and become lighter. You can see it more with a color versus white, and then we are just going to go right along the tips of those flowers just to make them a little bit brighter. And they'll stand out more, especially when we go in and put the black outline pen. Swipe it across your paper towel. It really does make a difference. Then on these, again, a little bit more. And if you are drawing out, my sponge is over on my other workstation. So I'm just gonna pick up a tiny bit from the side of my water basin. A little bit more water. If it is dragging and you feel it dragging, you know you need a little bit more moisture in your brush. And when it migrates too much, just rinse your brush, reload it, and go. Oh, those are pretty, aren't they? I love that color. But again, we'll deepen that orange a little with the quinacridone gold. They do have orange in the media line. Not a big fan of the ones that are still left. There used to be one vermilion, which I loved, and now it's just pyrrole orange, which is okay, but not my go-to. Just want to get most of this done, then we can concentrate on her. Okay, let's rinse that out. Thank you, Carol, for answering that question. We need to do another one in the group soon. I totally agree, Donna. Totally. We haven't, well, we did Frida, what, last month or the month before? She was actually supposed to be one in March, and then when my dad passed, my lessons just kind of got postponed for a bit. So I just put a little bit of Payne's Gray on her belt there, the rim of her skirt, if you will. Okay, and then I also want to get out some plantation pine. Plantation pine. And we will pick up on a 1/4 inch angle. So I'm going to use, where is my 1/4 inch angle? I only have 100 of them. Okay. So what I want to do is pick up a little touch of plantation pine. Now this is a 1/4 inch angle. When you go to a smaller angle, your color tends to migrate a little bit more and quicker, which I have found. So really just keep very little paint on it, very little moisture. Add a little bit of water to your palette so that if you need more, you can come on the heel, just pick up a little. And if you get too much, just lay it on your paper towel to get that excess. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to float this color almost like in a U shape at the base of these leaves. So I'm going to start about halfway up, go there, halfway up, just touch it with your finger if you need to soften it, or grab a mop brush. Just want to get a little bit on those little baby leaves, right up underneath that flower. bit more Payne's Gray. So I would say it's probably about 50-50, and if it's too dark, just pick up a little bit more plantation pine when you're doing it. But where it meets flowers, and then right along the base of that leaf. So I'll go that way with that color. Again, little Payne's Gray, a little bit of plantation pine. You could, it mimics the color of like black green, but I love the clean transparency of the Payne's Gray, and I just find that it gives me the color that I'm looking for versus using like black green or a darker green. Okay, did I get, oh, nope, I got one right there. Okay. Can you post a close-up picture of the piece you did on Sunday? Sunday, what did I do? I don't even remember. Remind me what I did Sunday, but absolutely, Linda, I can definitely post a close-up picture. Nope, that was the butterfly that we did Monday. Yeah, just let me know. I can't remember. All right, I'm gonna take that number 8 again, and we just want to smooth out her shirt a little bit more, because right now it's looking like it needs a steam, right? Or a little iron. Yes, I did. Thank you so much, Cindy. You guys keeping me on track. I missed 2 leaves. In the center, one there, and one there. And thank you, there and there. What would I do without you guys? Our summer has arrived. 107 today, 108 tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Oh, the purple hydrangeas? Absolutely. I will post a bigger picture of that, because I know I put it in the comments section on my page. But yes, definitely. In fact, I probably should just do a little newsletter tomorrow and put all of those in there, right? So you get a bigger picture of all. Okay, we want to go back to the 3/8 angle. You always want to use the angle that fits the size of what you're doing. Again, a 1/4 inch would be a little too small for here. So I have some of the quinacridone gold, which doesn't look like any kind of gold. And we are just going to deepen this shadow. So again, I'm just pushing it down, coming up a little bit on the chisel edge, down, and it will streak through that white that we put on. Separation is going to come when we outline them again with that black paint, or pen, excuse me. So we don't need to worry about painting a shadow between those petals. Get too high like I did there, not the end of the world. Just come back with a little bit of white and pop it in. Okay. wipe across your paper towel so you don't get too much. I've forgotten to do that a couple times, and you can definitely see where it's darker. And there. And there. All right. Let's rinse that out. I am going to come in with a little bit of white on my brush on the tip. And I'm just going to hit a little float on that highlighted side of the leaves. So whatever top side of those leaves, we'll pop in a little bit of white. It's too much. I'm using the 3/8. I probably should switch to the 1/4. But I'm gonna just use this one. I'm just dabbing it with my finger if I get too much. All right, let me just look and see if I missed any. I think I got them all. They might not all be as bright white as that, but that will work. Okay. It was a mixed media with yellow butterfly saying replace fear. Oh, this one. Where is that one? That one, yes, I will post that as well. Nice close-up of all of them. Okay, let's dry everything. Okay, so remember we used that, what was that, sunset gold underneath. I'm gonna use a little bit of sunset gold on that angle and a little bit of quinacridone gold. Work those colors in, swipe it across my paper towel. And I want to add a little bit of a shadow under some of these petals. Just a little bit. Okay, just kind of make them pop, stand out a little bit more. And then along the edge, we will put that color. It's just going to make it a little more dimensional. So that sunset gold, quinacridone gold, loaded up. Oop, need a little bit more moisture. Go right down that side. Then I can always come back out just a little bit and then right up underneath her belt. Oh, I love that. It's almost like a Fabergé egg or something. Very full figure. Okay, now another thing I like to do, like as streaky as her shirt is, here's a cool tip. Let's take a little bit of white. So titanium white, I'm going to put it on a Mezzaluna brush, which is a dry brush. The brush is dry, has no water. And I'm going to do just a little bit of dry brushing. A little bit more. I think we'll give her a little black collar as well to tie in with everything that's going to be outlined. a little bit of dry brushing of white. We'll leave it for right now. And then for her, the flowers, I do want to go ahead and get that outlined because I want to do those stamens in the center. And I'm going to do those with the pen. So let's just go ahead and get all that outlined. I love when things go off the edge, or the bottom or the top or sides. Again, just kind of takes your eye beyond the design. And there. Alrighty. So her stamens, I'm just going to go zigzagging from the center out with lines like that. Zigzag from the center dot, so right there. A variety of sizes, so some long, some short. And of course I'm gonna dot them like I did last night. However, I'm not gonna dot those till the very end. Because first off, it would take too long to dry them. Now I have found when using these pens, oftentimes it will kind of clog just from going over the paint. So just take a piece of paper, do some little circles. It will revive it. Or you can do what I do and just get a new one, and then you have 1,000 of them sitting in your studio. I did a couple double lines there, so I'm just going to double up that petal. Okay. And then same thing. I don't know if I'm going to do all these, but remember, this is a dress. It's fabric. It doesn't have to be. And I'm just going to pull that black pen for a vein line right in it. But I am going to come in and paint them with thermal neon green. I do know that. Because it's going to brighten them up and really bring out more of that yellow that's in the back of her skirt. The base of her skirt, I should say. Just did an errant little line there. I can get that away with some hand sanitizer later. I'm not a very good going over the lines because I don't work with a pattern when I just sketch it out and then tweak it and change it. So like when I have to do patterns, I always tell people I'm not the best pattern transferer because I don't go slow enough to really go over the lines. If I go beyond them, that's okay. And when people paint my designs, I don't care if it's exactly the same. In fact, I don't want it to be. I want you to put yourself and your, your own creativity into it. You can follow the lesson, but, if you want her to have blonde hair, if you want the flowers to be purple, those things don't matter to me if it's different than what I've done. Another perk of being in my membership group is if you're a teacher, you have permission to teach my designs. Okay, not online, but if you've got a group, a chapter, whatever they're calling them now these days, if you've still got a group, you're more than welcome to take one of our designs. Janet Cockerman's done so. A couple other people have. Nope, we forgot this one. I stopped and... Okay, so we're not gonna do the dots on it just yet, okay? We're gonna come in now with some white and a liner brush. Aw, thanks, Nanette. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of white, and we want to get the whites of her eyes in. Let's rinse that out. I'm going to take a little bit of orange and a touch, not a lot, but a touch of quinacridone gold. And we're going to give her some lipstick. Her eye color, I think I'm going to go ahead and just use that teal. I think that would be pretty with her outfit. And I'm just going to go right over everything, the eyeball, the pupil, all of it. It's just much easier. Make sure I get it on there. Okay, so remember we dry brushed her shirt. So now I'm going to come in again with that brush and the cobalt teal hue. You're going to get a much more even distribution of color. And what it does is there might be a couple of lighter areas, but it's not going to look like wrinkles as much as it is just like maybe the light's hitting her shirt there differently. Okay, so let me just hold that up so you can, okay, let's dry it. Absolutely, Debbie Easton. I made her sticker for her and I love it. What is it? Perfection is to be avoided at all cost. Oftentimes when I teach, I tell them, you know, we check perfection at the door, right? So I'm just going to get a little touch of that on my palette. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so we want, where'd it go? Sorry, I'm looking for it. Cobalt turquoise. I know oh, right here. Hello. Cobalt turquoise hue. We're just going to get a little bit of that out. Again, it's in the media line. And our angle brush. I'm going to load it on the toe. Now, if you're worried at all that, you know, my shading might be a little too dark, it never hurts to add a little touch of whatever your base color is to your shading color. Okay, that's just going to give it a little bit of softness and for it not to be so harsh. Okay, so I love that little trick of whatever your base color is, add a little bit of the darker color. And we'll go there, and then I'm gonna move, because if I pull it up, well, I probably can at an angle. Yeah. I say if I go there, I might mess up what I just put on. And then we will go up underneath her collar. I don't know that I'm gonna do it black. I think I'm just gonna leave it the color that it is. And if I wanted to darken it even more, Payne's Gray would be my go-to to darken it. But we'll go down the side, along the edge, up her elbow and arm. Okay, and where I would probably darken it a little bit more with a tiny touch of Payne's Gray is in that little bend in her arm. And I'm just going to kind of do a little back-to-back float, so on both sides, just a little bit. So we get a little bit more there. Maybe some under those lines there. Alrighty. And I need to fix that so it doesn't look frayed. Oop, I still had that paint spray in there. Sunday. All right. Now we're going to come in with that 3/8 angle, a little bit of asphaltum. And we're going to start working on her skin, face. I want to get a mop brush. Should have gotten that before I started. And I just want to soften it. So this is not a traditional mop brush. It's a medium soft flat top, IPC Dynasty. It is ink, pastel, and chalk, but it is soft enough that you can do your eye makeup with it, or as a mop. It's my go-to. Has been for years. Deb Antonik and I both love it as a mop. Okay, we want to go up underneath her hairline. So again, I have water in my brush. I'm going right over her eye and everything. A little bit of asphaltum. Just going to start blocking in her features a little. Right up underneath her hairline. Down her cheek and chin. And down that side as well. Oh, I cannot wait for my new glasses to get here. I don't feel like I can see anything in these. We don't want to make her look dirty, okay? How many of you had moms or grandmas that said, "Did you wash behind your ears?" My step-grandmother did all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit more water, just to softly come in here, down her V-neck. Soften, soften, soften. It's easier to build up the color, remember, than to use a whole bunch of color right now. All right, so in her sleeve, because we want it to look dimensional, there's a little part right there. In fact, I'm gonna add a tiny touch of Payne's Gray to it. Little there and little there. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So her sleeve, I use as a mop also. I love it. I need a sticker that says, "Yay, I get to float today." I have that sticker. Hello, sister. Alrighty, so we're gonna get a little bit more of the asphaltum on the toe of that brush. And we're gonna go right up where her sleeve is, along the bottom of her hand. We don't wanna add a bunch of detail. We don't need a bunch of detail, okay? A little bit more asphaltum, and I'm gonna add the tiniest touch of Payne's Gray because we do wanna add a little bit of her palm so that you can see where the butterfly's sitting, okay? But then we will come in with a little bit of asphaltum, very, very little, up underneath and down that side. A little bit more of the natural buff skin color. Okay. Let's come in with our 1/4 inch angle and some asphaltum and work that in. Too much paint, too much moisture. And we're gonna go up underneath her eyebrows and up underneath her eyelid. We'll put a little bit of a highlight there because you're gonna lose it. It's such a small area. And then we don't wanna give her bags, but we do wanna do a little bit of shading underneath her eyes. I hereditarily got my dark circles under my eyes. It also doesn't help that I don't sleep well. And then we'll do a little under her nose, around the edge. And then I can come in from here. I like to do just one side, not necessarily both, but if you want to, again, from the eyebrow, it'll just come down slightly to that rounded area on her nose. Okay. And then we've got that little peak right here above her lip. Hopefully that is making sense and showing up. And we will highlight it. And then right up underneath her lip, I like to do like an upside down U right there. And then just touch it and soften it with your finger. Okay. So let's take a Posca pen just for blocking in some things real quick. Does this one work? Yep, it's the one I used last night. Okay, so we're going to go around her eye and put in her eyeball there. And sometimes I get it too wide, like I just did. And I just go back in with a little bit of the blue paint or whatever her eye color is and fix it. Okay. Then I'm gonna take that, not the Posca, but the ultra fine tip Sharpie because it's thinner. And I'm just going to come back and add in those little details and give her some eyebrows. And then we will let that dry. We don't want to do anything real quick with the eyelashes. So we will come in and outline her lips. I think we'll leave it at that for right now. Let's dry everything. Aw, thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get a medium mezzaluna or a small mezzaluna. Let's have one right here. We are going to pick up a little bit of white, work it in, wipe a lot of it off. We're going to give her a little bit of concealer under her eyes. Let me move my tissue over here to wipe it off. Again, a little bit of concealer, those brighter spots, and then that little T-zone. So up in here, down the bridge of her nose, along her chin. And then I'm gonna pick up some quinacridone gold on that same brush, wipe it off, pick up a little bit more, work it in, wipe it off. I know it might seem like you're wasting paint. Pick up a little bit more, wipe it off. Now the majority of that white is out of my brush. Okay, so about 3 times. And I will say I learned that trick from Lisbeth Stahl. I think she did it on a Deco Art Craft Minute. So I'm along the edge of her face line and I'm bringing out a little bit of blush. I like to do it with that quinacridone gold because it kind of gives her a little bit of a sun-kissed look. And don't worry if it's a little too dark. And I'm doing small little circular motions so I don't end up with any kind of a harsh line. But if I do, I can always get rid of it. And then a little bit on her skin, on her neck, and on her hand. And then I'm going to take that round brush that we used earlier with a little bit of asphaltum and quinacridone gold. And I'm just going to give her some highlights. A little bit of interest in her hair.
So asphaltum, a little bit of quinacridone gold, again on her little curls. You can put a little bit on the edges there. And then on her bun, same thing, but we will lighten this up in a minute when we add her brighter highlights with a tiny touch of asphaltum, quinacridone gold, and a little touch of natural buff, which is like a tan color. And you know what? I'm going to add a little bit of white to that because I want it brighter. So asphaltum, oh yeah, some quinacridone gold, tiny touch of natural buff, and some white. And we will need a little bit of water in my brush just to get it to come off my brush. When you're using a round or a liner, do need a little bit of moisture to get that to move. And if I do any tweaks on her, I will again share the picture tomorrow, the finished picture, the line drawing, the colors I used. And then here we're just going to add some little curls to look like she's got a bun. All right. I want to add a little bit more of the asphaltum and a tiny touch of Payne's Gray, kind of in her palm for that butterfly. And then same thing right along the edge of her hand. Just not real worried about the detail on that. A little bit of natural buff or white if you do need to highlight the top of her hand. Okay, now one thing I like to do with the face, guys, is if like to tone down the cheeks and everything, I'll just take my flat brush, number 8, very wet and inky base color. So in this case, it was the natural buff. Tap it across my paper towel, and I will come in and soften that look. Sometimes it might cover too much, but you really don't know until it's dry. Okay, so just kind of get it on there. Thank you, Chris. Aw, thank you, Cindy. I had someone tell me they look like me, and I'm like, no, I don't think that looks anything like me. Okay, a little bit more asphaltum and quinacridone gold. I just want to get a little bit of that back on her neck, underneath her hairline, which seems strange sometimes putting that on, but let's zoom in a little bit more so we can get to her face. Okay. So with the white Posca marker, I just find it easier to do than with a liner brush. We're going to start on the side of that black line, pull a dash in, 1, 2, 3. Pull a dash in, 1, 2, 3. Okay. You can also do the ball of her nose, kind of dot it and pull it up. A little highlight here, a little on her chin, a little on her neck, okay, a little on her hand, on her, over her palm, okay. And I'm gonna come back in with that round brush because I do wanna come in where we gave her highlights with some asphaltum and a touch of Payne's Gray, not a lot, but I do want there just to be a little bit more contrast. So right in those little sections along the bottom of her curl. those areas that go past under her face and behind. Again, asphaltum, touch of Payne's gray. Oops, too much. And then along the bottom here. All right, so let's add a little bit of a highlight that we took away. That was with the quinacridone gold, a little bit of natural buff, and a little bit of white. Okay, so the other area I like to give her a little bit of a highlight is right above her eyelid, her eye and her eyelid. So we're just going to put a little bit of white Posca marker in there. Okay. And I think we are going to shade, and then we will come in with her lashes. So I have a 1/4 inch angle with a little bit of Payne's gray, and we want to set her eye into her eye socket. So you need to do that by going underneath the lid with a little bit of Payne's gray, and it goes over everything. So it might be that white highlight. You can always come back and put the white highlight in, but I just go right up underneath her lid to set that eye in place. Okay. And then back with the ultra fine tip Sharpie marker. Now, when we do, I know I don't want to do it on there. I've shared this before. So when you do an eye, you have that kind of almond shape, right? Let's give it a lid and an eyeball, okay? Your lashes don't go like that. They grow from the bottom of your eyelid and down, down and up, down and up, okay? And they're pretty full, so a little shorter here, and you can just add as many as you want. And then here, I just usually typically will add a few, okay? So keeping those from under the lid and up, and just add maybe, 5 or 6 there. And 2 or 3 over on that side. I also want to make her bottom lip a little bit darker, so we've got a little dimension there. So I'm going to take some of that quinacridone gold and just float that there. All right, so I'm digging the way she's looking. However, I do think we're going to bring the hearts, I think we're going to bring that into her shirt. So I need a small stencil brush loaded with white, wipe off almost all of it. And we're just going to softly, very light pressure, circular motion, counterclockwise, clockwise, and just bring in, oh yeah, cute, 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 cute. Okay. So, let me just look what I need to add. A few more highlights on her bun. Okay, let's go on to the butterfly. So I am going to just paint this all in with, well, it already has the yellow. So let's just take our angle brush, 1/4 inch angle with a little bit of jack-o'-lantern orange. And we will just add in some oranges, some quinacridone gold, some white, some black, an outline with our pen. This will pull that orange out of the flowers as well. So I'm just doing that at the base of those little scrolly strokes there. Aw, thank you, Alka. Yes, that's what I thought too when with her bun it almost looked like a rose, huh? Thank you, Carol. I love her too. Thanks, Diane. Alrighty, guys, so I need to lighten up just a wee bit. One area that's kind of bothering me is this right here. And then we're going to take that 1/4 inch angle with a little bit of white. And I'm just going to pop it in. Remember, this is going to be outlined, so if I'm going over the black lines, I don't care. And then we'll put a little there, there, and there. And then with my ultra fine tip Sharpie marker, I am going to do the little antennas, little body. Okay. And then we will do, I don't want to get into any wet paint. But we want to outline. There. Right. So along the edges, I typically won't use my pen to fill it in. However, I am going to do that with the Posca marker, just because it's nice and dark and black and easier than getting in a liner brush. Put it exactly where I want it. And then when that's dry, we will put some white dots on it. Now remember, these can be refilled. You can go to YouTube and find a video on how to refill these with paint. Okay, now I don't want to add, I don't think I'm going to add a black outline to anything else. But I do want to come in with that number 2 flat and the Payne's Gray, make a nice little inky puddle. And we're going to do that up underneath her arm. And we will do it along the side of her dress and her arm there. So I'm just doing it like I'm floating color, but I'm doing it with the flat brush. So we'll come up underneath her curl, under her bun, that side of her neck. It's too dark. Her curl there. Her hand and elbow. Okay. The other thing we can do is on the side of the butterfly. And you could even go as far as, oops, not that dark, going up underneath some of these with a little bit of cast shadow. Again, that just lifts them off the background. I was going to do a different color in the background, but I think I'm just going to do some splatter and leave it because I'm liking the way it's picking up the yellow in her skirt. Okay. So we're going to do her little quote. I'm just going to move that out of the way. You can fussy cut it. You can take a brush with water, which I'm going to do because I don't feel like cutting. Do I feel like cutting? I probably should because it's got a nice little edge to it. So let's just do that. And like Kathy McAllister told me the other night, fussy cutting with big scissors is not easy. But all my small scissors are over at my other desk. So we are just going to make it work. I'm holding my breath, sorry, and not talking. I used to try and go all the way around the whole edge, and then you've got that long streamer of paper hanging down and hitting your finger. Just cut it off. Just cut it right to the edge and pick right back up where you were, right there. Okay. Then we will put this on our piece with some matte medium. So here or here, you guys let me know. I'm kind of thinking here, even though we've got that collage paper there, I can always come in and put a little collage paper here, which would make sense. Let me know, top or bottom, and maybe even overlapping her skirt. Let me know, let me know, let me know. And while you do that in the comment section, I'm just gonna dot the edges with the white Posca marker. I do carry this white one and black one, do a little highlight on the body and the antennas. A little highlight on her lip on that right side. And then if you messed up the highlight when you put in the Payne's Gray, you can always come back and add a little bit more. I will use that black Posca marker to give her belt a little bit more color. Top, 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 top. That's exactly my first thought. Usually is the thing. If you go with your first thought, that's good. Your instinct will tell you. So, all right, I'm just gonna get a junky old brush. It's dry. I'm gonna put some matte medium on my page. Go beyond where you wanna put it. It will dry matte and flat. And then we'll pick this up. I'm gonna stick it right there. Make sure it's straight. Nope, it's not straight. Sorry if my hair is in the camera. I just need to see where I am putting that. And isn't this quote just the truth? It's the same thing with painting. The only way you get better at painting is continue painting. You know, that's that one saying that, you know, when you stop doing things, you stop doing things because you're old. Well, you're going to stop doing everything if you don't do anything. So that's how kind of my philosophy with painting too is the more I paint, the more I'm going to want to paint. And this week, every night after I've painted with you guys, I have been in my studio continuing to paint because I'm just so inspired to keep going and maybe tweaking and adding or I do want to add a little bit of a shadow right up underneath her face there and her hair a little bit more. Okay, let's dry this. Let's not dry that. Let's come in, since we have our collage paper out, and just put a little bit there to add a little bit more interest. And the thing is, I can go over that with the a little bit of gesso just in that area to tone it down if I find it too dark. medium just fell over. I'll show you another trick. You don't even have to get the gesso out if you don't want to. You can just take that brush with inky, thank you, Holly, and a little touch of white, and I can just go over it. And I can always come back with a little bit of yellow. Okay, now on this one, I don't want to add too much to it, but I do want to make it look like it's part of the page. So I will come in with that yellow, which I used my spritzer, remember, which is Hansa Yellow Light. So I'm going to put some of that on my palette. A little bit of that. My girls do take a little bit more time than what I normally paint, but that's because, again, I tweak it, add layers. Anyway, I just want to add a little bit of that background color so it doesn't stick out like a white sore thumb. And not everywhere. I'm not really painting it. I'm just putzing that paint around. Alrighty. A little bit more shadow. Her skirt, we're going to let this dry, and then that will be kind of our finishing little. So I'm just going to come in and randomly hit it with the white Posca marker. Don't do what I just did and mash that down. You want to do your markers to the side so that you keep the nib nice and thin, and I'm just rotating in my fingers. And that one doesn't seem as wet. So let's see if this one's a little bit bigger. And we're just going to dot, 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 dot. And then you can always do a little accent of white along the top if you want to. Okay, especially if your orange got a little too high. All right. Add a little bit brighter highlight on her hand there. Now up here, let's just make sure this is dry. We're going to add a little bit of shading underneath it. We'll add some splatter and we'll be done. Thank you, Holly. Need to go back to my brushes. Yes, Janet, you do. You do. Let's add a tiny little highlight. Where did I just stick that? Add a little bit of a highlight on her belt there. Maybe even on her shirt there. Okay. You know, the white tends to soak in a little bit, so don't be afraid to come back and hit it a couple times, especially on those centers. I would come in and dot them with white, with like a Posca, or not a Posca, a stylus. Okay, so my 3/8 angle, I'm gonna come in with that sunset gold and a touch of quinacridone gold. Remember, we shaded her skirt with that color combo. And here we're going to do I'm gonna do it, see if I like it, and if I don't, I have time to wipe it off. Nope. Okay, we're just gonna go to my trusty old, my trusty Payne's Gray. Oh yeah. It's just the best Payne's Gray in the world. The whole world. Okay, Make it stick out a little more. Alrighty, we are going to add some splatter. So I'm going to take my 1-inch oval encaustic. This is a different one than I used the other day. This one I covered with the Galaxy glitter. And we're going to add some quinacridone gold first. I got it very wet, added a little quinacridone gold. And we're going to sprinkle this on. I'm going to cover her face just because I don't want to get her face. I don't care if a couple get on her skirt, but we just don't want it on her face. So any errant dots you don't want, you need to take care of while it's wet. And let's rinse that. We will pick up some asphaltum. So I like to use colors that I've used in my design for my splatter colors. So this is asphaltum. And oops, hello. I did that last night or the night before. Too much water. Tap it across your paper towel. Again, remove anything you don't want anywhere while it's wet. Oh, thank you, Pam. Okay, I'm just going to grab another encaustic with some white, titanium white, load it up, get it very inky. Tap it across your paper towel so you don't have too much, like I've had. Put a little bit of white in the background. Okay. And then, because we are at the end, I will just take my stylus with more white paint. This is the titanium. And just add that here and there. Remember, each little dot doesn't have to have a line, and you don't want the dots just on the end of a line. You want to bring them into that center, down on those lines. My husband was like, do you think it'll be real late tonight? And I said, well, I'm doing one of my girls. And he goes, oh yeah, he'll be a little bit later than usual. And oftentimes when I'm painting something for the first time, that's the case as well, because I've not painted her. So I didn't know what colors I was going to use. Let's add a little bit of a white highlight right there on the bridge of her nose. Alrighty, guys, I think I'm going to call her done. What do y'all think? Are those little hearts a stencil? So the little hearts are a stencil. They are on my website. I can't remember what set they are, but I will look and let you know. So yeah, those were fun. It would even be cute to do a little of that cobalt teal hue, the brighter, like what's in her shirt. You know, kind of here and there, little sprinkles of it. Oh yeah, that's cute. Thanks for asking about that, Marlene, because I wouldn't have thought about that. Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you have learned something. I hope you've had fun. I will get this loaded, the line drawing, the colors that I used, and a picture of this piece, as well as the ones we've done in the past few days. I do have the peach from last night already loaded on my site. And just let me go ahead and do this shameful plug. You don't want to miss out, I promise you. Again, even if it's just for a month and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this and I want to go for a year, you can cancel it at any time, okay? My membership will not open up again until the fall. So probably September, mid-September. So if you are on the fence, if you want to join, if you want access to all those lessons and to paint with me and have all my tips and tricks, At your ready, then go over to Sandy McTier Designs, click on the Adventures of Art with Sandy McTier, and join us. We have a lot of fun. It's a fantastic community. I absolutely love painting with my group every single month. I was just looking at a comment, sorry. Okay, so let me come back up here. I'm not as sweaty, but look at my hair. I have a fan going right here because it's so hot. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I will be live. Thank you, thank you. These extra nights have been fun. They have been fun. I'm tired. I told my husband I have a busy morning, and then 1 o'clock I have a conference call, and after that, I'm gonna take a nice bath, get in my jammies, and I'm gonna crawl in my big comfy chair. So, oh, thank you, Chris, for putting that link for the hearts. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much again for joining me. I will get the Happy Mail out to everyone, and then Happy Mail for tonight I will announce on Sunday's Live. Okay? Y'all have a wonderful evening. Do not forget to give yourself permission to play. Not everything has to be a finished project on a wood surface. Just play and create and have fun. Let loose a little bit. And then also don't forget to always get something done creatively each day, whether it's space coating, or sketching out an idea, or even just making a list of things you want to paint. But get those brushes out, get that paint out, do something creative. Action leads to motivation, okay? Alrighty, guys. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And for those that have joined the membership group and for my members, I will see you guys next Thursday with a fantastic lesson. All right, guys, thanks so much. Bye.